Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So look, Carson Wentz just got dealt, and now the dust is starting to settle, and it sounds weird to say that because the news officially broke, I don't know, an hour ago, hour and 20 minutes ago. Carson Wentz got dealt for a third-round pick and a conditional 2022 second-round pick. Okay, so now the Jets fans out there, we're left with a bunch of questions, right? What's Sam Darnold's value? When is he going to be traded? Who's he going to be traded to? Because Carson Wentz just got traded to one of the teams that were kind of in the mix for Darnold originally. All right, so we have a bunch of questions, and I figured, you know what? I really want to make a video addressing these different questions, kind of just giving my overall thoughts and my opinions, and I can't wait to see what you guys have to say down below in the comment section. Where do you think Darnold will wind up? Where's his best fit? And also, what do you think the Jets will get in return? Because Carson Wentz, the trade package that Philly got back in return for Wentz is, in my opinion, a little lower than what I thought going into it. So with that being said, let's jump in. So the first team that comes to mind is the Washington football team. All right, this is a team right now coming off of a 7-win season. They have so many different things figured out, right? Their coaching staff is great. Ron Rivera, Jack Del Rio. The defense is young. It's producing. It's promising. They have their franchise edge rushers in Montez Sweat and Chase Young. There's so much to like about Washington. Young playmakers, Antonio Gibson, Terry McLaurin, a solid offensive line. I can easily see this team winning the division next season and being a threat in the NFC. They just need to tweak a couple things. They need to upgrade a couple positions, including quarterback. They don't have a franchise guy. Dwayne Haskins didn't work out. Alex Smith, too old at this point. He's not going to be the guy for the next 10 years. It's just not happening. Taylor Heineke, I'm not sold. Kyle Allen, you can do a lot better. Okay, so Washington, a team that has $35 to $40 million in cap space, so they can afford to pay him. They don't have the franchise young quarterback with a high upside on the roster. This is a team right now, they won 7 games from handing the ball off, playing really good defense, and checking it down. I do believe Darnold gives you more than that, especially if he's groomed in the right way, okay? And plus, Alex Smith would be there to kind of be that veteran mentor for Darnold in the locker room. So Washington checks so many different boxes. And another quick point I do want to mention about Washington, they were in talks with Detroit about Matthew Stafford. It ended up reaching a point where Washington backed out. They said, you know what, the price tag is getting a little too high. That leads me to believe that Washington won't be in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes, even though I feel like they should. I don't think they want to go that route where they're mortgaging the future. I'm just not buying it. So I think Darnold to the football team is really, I feel like it's a real possibility. I would say right now, Washington is the front runner. Next up, the Carolina Panthers, another team that I feel like makes excellent sense for Sam Darnold. Okay, what do we know about Carolina so far? We know that they want to move off of Teddy Bridgewater. He's not the guy for the next 15, 20 years. We know that. They don't have the young franchise quarterback on the roster who has that high upside. Darnold will provide that. They have a young coaching staff in place. They have offensive weapons. The defense is young. It's improving. The Panthers are going in the right direction. All right, they were in talks with the Detroit Lions for Matthew Stafford. They had that deal in place. It fell through because the LA Rams came in last second with a monster deal. Detroit went with LA. We know that they're interested in Deshaun Watson. They have the 8th overall pick. So the discussion or the question that Carolina could be asking themselves, okay, what do we want to do? Do we want to try to draft a Trey Lance? Say we miss out on Deshaun Watson. Do we want to trade or draft a Trey Lance at 8, a Mac Jones at spot number 8? Do we want to do we want to trade up potentially? Do we want to risk or really cross our fingers and hope Justin Fields falls to us at spot number 8? Or should we trade a mid-round pick for Sam Darnold? Now all of a sudden we still have that 8th overall pick. We have Teddy Bridgewater on the roster who can mentor and teach Darnold, be that kind of that stopgap guy if Darnold isn't ready to go, and we can still take the best overall player with that 8th pick. So Carolina, on many different fronts, makes a lot of sense. They also have $20 million in cap space, so they can afford to bring Darnold in. I really, really like Carolina. Next, the Chicago Bears. I feel like the Bears, right now, they're in a little bit of a panic mode. Matt Nagy, Ryan Pace, they're on their last leg. This is a franchise right now that they've made it clear they don't want to build around Mitch Trubisky. He's not going to be back. You're looking at the roster, Nick Foles. Does Matt Nagy, Ryan Pace, do they want to invest their job in building the team around Nick Foles? I doubt it. I feel like it's inevitable at this point. The Chicago Bears will make a quarterback move. It's just a matter of who and when. I just don't buy into the Bears building this team and going into 2021 as Nick Foles as the guy, or with Nick Foles as the guy. I just don't see it happening. Whether it's selecting a QB at 20, whether it's trading up, trading for Deshaun Watson, or in this case, Sam Darnold, the Bears don't have that young, high upside quarterback on the roster. Sam Darnold also fits the system with its quick passing, it's getting the football out of the quarterback's hands, there's no 8-step dropbacks. It would be an easy transition for Sam. And then, of course, we have teams that need quarterbacks, right? That would make sense for Sam Darnold, hypothetically, but I just feel like it's almost a long shot at this point. Teams like the Pittsburgh Steelers, a team that has, I think they're $30 million over the cap as we stand right now, and they just brought in Dwayne Haskins. I don't see the Steelers potentially giving away a draft asset for Sam at this point. You have teams like the Atlanta Falcons, but they have that 4th overall pick. If Arthur Smith wants that young quarterback to build around, I would just see him taking one at spot number 4. Plus, he would be not only just younger, but he would be a cheaper option as well. You have teams like the Philadelphia Eagles now. They're interesting. Philly has the 6th overall pick. So, in theory, they can draft Trey Lance. They can hope Justin Fields falls to them. I mean, it's definitely a possibility. They're not in a situation where they need to trade for Deshaun Watson, or they need to trade for Sam Darnold. It could happen, but I would say right now it's unlikely. So I feel like those are the 3 teams that instantly pop out. Also, I do want to include Denver in there, but I feel like Denver, if they want to make a quarterback move, it would have been for Matthew Stafford or Deshaun Watson. I just feel like with Darnold right now, even though I know Elway really likes Darnold, they have a young quarterback on the roster in Drew Lock who's kind of unproven, and he's still trying to learn the system. So I don't envision them bringing a second guy in to battle with Drew Lock that's around the same age. So I feel like right now it's the football team, it's the Panthers, and it's the Bears. I feel like with the Bears, it would be more of an emergency thing. Like, okay, Watson gets traded to Carolina. Chicago is in complete panic mode. We need somebody. Let's trade for Darnold. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Now we have to ask the question, what's the value? Because we've seen Matthew Stafford get traded for a massive like treasure chest essentially. But we've seen Carson Wentz get dealt for a 3rd round pick and a conditional 2nd round pick, and Philly's eating $30 million in dead cap. So the values of these quarterbacks are kind of all over the board. I would say right now, even though there's been rumors of Darnold getting a 1st round pick, and there's been a lot of buzz around that, I just don't see that happening. I feel like Darnold's worth a 3rd round pick. That's kind of realistically for me. If I was a team, I would consider a 3rd round pick for Darnold. A 2nd for me is still too high. I can still see a team doing that. I've also seen a bunch of rumors that Darnold's value is a 2nd round pick and a 5th, or a 2nd and a 4, something along those lines, which I could definitely see happening as well, especially if it's one of these teams like Washington or Carolina or Chicago. But at the end of the day, I do feel like Sam Darnold will be the next domino to fall. I think he's going to be the next quarterback traded out of the main ones here, of course, with Watson and Stafford and all these different guys, Goff. I believe Sam will be the next one. It'll be interesting to see where he goes. My best guess would be Washington or Carolina. Those 2 teams from the beginning have made the most sense to me. So I'll leave it there. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Who do you feel like Sam Darnold's going to be dealt to? What do you want in return for him? What's fair? What's not? Cannot wait to see what you guys have to say on this one. And as always, thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for sticking with this channel. And go Jets.